This is a malicious man. This is a vindictive man. This is a man. This is a man who unironically learned the worst lessons he possibly could have from the last administration. That's it. That's the unfortunate reality. Also, speaking of unfortunate realities, I have a breaking news update. Matt Gaetz has been nominated as Attorney General. I cannot begin to explain to you how much worse shit can get. Okay? Imagine the worst possible outcome. Imagine the worst possible outcome that could happen. Now imagine it being infinitely worse. Matt Gaetz has been nominated as Attorney General. It's my great honor to announce that Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is hereby nominated to be the Attorney General of the United States. Oh my God, the never-kevers have risen up and they are taking over the goddamn government. Holy, they are abolishing age of consent, dude. Oh my Lord. This man has active investigations into his pedophilia. What? What the? Can we go back a few saves? No, we need a reset, dude. Oh my Lord, dude. Holy. Oh. If the Senate confirms him, witness tells House Ethics Committee that Matt Gaetz paid her for sex. Several women were witnesses to the DOJ probe that have been interviewed. The House Ethics Committee probed Matt Gaetz for alleged sexual misconduct. And now Donald Trump wants to make him the Attorney General. Now, if you know anything about the Republican Party, a guy with active pedophilia allegations and sex trafficking allegations on him is a perfect person to put into a position of power. I am reminded of Dennis Hastert, the longest running Speaker of the House. Dennis Hastert is a Republican, was a Republican, and was the longest running record-breaking Speaker of the House. He broke another record, the most prolific pedophile. There was suspicion that a lot of people knew that he was a pedophile at the time, but because of his active pedophilia, his serial pedophilia, it made him controllable. So I suspect not only is Matt Gaetz a diehard pro-Trump guy, but he also has, blackmail on himself, which Trump can use if given the opportunity. This is incredible stuff. Yeah, it's leverage, okay? I'm not touching whatever that link is. This is called leverage, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. Holy, this country is in the pooper, okay? This country is in the dumps. We are so cooked. Let's see what MSNBC has to say about the Matt Gaetz situation. I'll look at what CNN has to say as well.
And they're used to policy differences. So you can go from Bush presidency.
Do your dry eyes still feel gritty?
No, they don't. Dude. Donald Trump wants loyalists in his orbit, okay? He wants loyalists in his orbit, and he wants the generals to be loyal to him.
I think that it is a real signaling with Matt Gaetz being proposed for the head of the Department of Justice, with Tulsi Gabbard being proposed.
This is a malicious man. This is a vindictive man. This is a man who unironically learned the worst lessons he possibly could have from the last administration. The last time he wanted to do shit like January 6th and numerous other things, there were people in his cabinet that actively fought against him, or at the very least were open to criticizing him or maybe even stopping him. Okay? When, and he was like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure that never happens again. It's over. So he basically is filling his cabinet with loyalists. Okay? People have stood by him, people that will fight tooth and nail for whatever his wishes are, no matter how insane or unhinged. And this is precisely the reason why I lose my mind when I see photos like this. Okay? When I see shit like this, I'm like, you're so fake. You're so phony. You are so goddamn phony, dude. You said he was a fascist, which he is. And now you're just friendly with the fascists? Like, what message are you giving to the American public? And I know what message they're giving to the American public. The message is, guys, we have a much greater enemy, okay? And that is trans people. That is socialism. That is communism. No way you're still on this? What are you talking about, dude? What do you mean, no way I'm still on this? I'm on this now.
Matt Gaetz, Jeffrey Clark.
Get off this dick, chatter. Wake the f up.
Gaetz, that would result in a number of important people, the people that make the place run at DOJ, saying, no, I can't be a part of this. I'm going to walk.
Well, that issue of whether you stay or whether you walk is a complicated one. It's certainly, I think, for people who are serious people who, as I said, are used to the idea that elections have come.
Chatter was like, move on, man. Politics is over. The election ended, you know? Yeah, don't look ahead at the dire prospect of American tomorrow, American future.
Are just so extreme that they can't agree as a policy matter, in which, then it's their choice to leave, or ask them to do things that are simply unsupported by the facts. So that your example of January 6th is a really good one, because you had people who were Trump appointees who are saying, we cannot do this. You had the acting attorney general, you had the acting deputy attorney general, you had the head of the Office of Legal Counsel, sort of three of the most prominent people at the Department of Justice, all selected by Donald Trump, saying they cannot do this. And so what I see with these announcements is
John Cornyn says he's trying to still absorb all this. When asked about Gaetz for AG and Gabbard for DNI, Cornyn visiting raised his eyebrows when first informed by the press of the Gaetz pick.
And that is,
by the way,
a fine point.
They will all stand down, just so you understand. Anytime you hear a Republican be like, well, I don't know about all this, like, do not be hopeful, okay? Lest you be misguided in this moment.
Moskowitz from Florida, as is Matt Gaetz. Just your reaction to this. I mean, this news just broke. It's out on Trump's Truth Social. Is the Hill abuzz with the news? Is your phone blowing up over this? Give us a sense of what's going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, this is what the American people voted for, right? I mean,
oh my God, they're literally like, oh no, we're punishing the voters. They're punishing the voters.
In Matt Gaetz, he's not only going to get someone who's fiercely loyal, but fiercely competent. Matt Gaetz knows exactly what to do with the Attorney General's office. He will turn that into be most powerful Attorney General in American history. I know Matt well. We served together in the legislature in Florida. In fact, Matt was the one who was part of the transition team of Ron DeSantis.
What are you saying? He's a demon, dog.
Director of Emergency Management in the state of Florida. And so, Trump was very clear on what he wanted to do with government. And in Matt Gaetz, he is going to get a very competent, very powerful Attorney General.
So what do you think he is going to do as AG, if confirmed?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously he's got a boss in Donald Trump. But anyone thinking that Donald Trump was just ready to move forward, that is clearly not the case. And so, at the end of the day, this is what happens. Elections have consequences. We talked about this during the election. But, at the end of the day, Matt was a former prosecutor, former attorney in private practice. He is a fierce Donald Trump loyalist. Matt has prosecuted the case in Congress for Donald Trump for years, and now he's going to get to do that on behalf of the American people if it gets confirmed.
I've heard from some of your Democratic colleagues in the House who are concerned, this was before Matt Gaetz was the pick, that a Trump DOJ might target them, that they could be investigated. Do you think that that is going to be part of Gaetz's repertoire? Is he going to be settling scores?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to speak for Matt or speak for the Trump administration, but I'm pretty sure they're not just going to go.
What are these guys saying?
I'm pretty sure with this
like,
pick, they're not just going to go around
what is
and
the
shut down
Democratic
puppy mills.
response to this?
Right,
everything that they're saying,
pick.
everything that they've said this past week makes me feel like they are receptive to the Trump fascist takeover. I feel like they're more predisposed with shitting on trans people and woke more than they are of like the upcoming second Trump agenda, the upcoming second Trump regime. That is nuts, dude. Yeah, look at this. I agree. Thanks for tuning in, Hasan the Hun. Don't forget to subscribe. We're already on to you, though. Child predators use Twitch to systematically track kids. Congressman Matt Gaetz joins Twitch. This is now the Attorney General, potentially, if appointed. What the hell's going on?
For DOD, Tulsi Gabbard for for Director of National Intelligence. What is the most concerning? What are the most comforting picks for you when it comes to the issue of national security or foreign relations?
Well, look, I think the meeting of all these people is going to be fascinating and problematic. I mean, you got Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz. Those folks are very serious about policy and protecting America, are tough on Iran, tough on China, tough on Russia. And then in the DOD picks and in intelligence, you have folks kind of on the opposite side of that. And so, I think it's gonna be fascinating to watch the power struggle, the power balance between all of these folks. But we're also acting like everyone's gonna get through Senate confirmation, and we'll have to see which ones do and which ones don't. Some of these folks are clearly more qualified. Mike Waltz, Marco Rubio, clearly more qualified for these positions than the other folks. But again, Donald Trump told everybody what he wanted to do. This is not a secret. And so the fact that this is now playing out in real time, elections have consequences.
Congressman Jared Moskowitz, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
We have much more on our breaking news ahead. Congressman Matt Gaetz chosen by President-elect Trump to serve as his Attorney General. Stay with us.
I'm a little confused as to this is what I was also trying to bring up in terms of like resistance media is not going to be the same as it was before. Okay. I don't think resistance media is going to do resistance media shit like they did in 2016. This is the other aspect of this. Not only do I feel like they are gearing up for a ratings bump, which will come, but not in the degree that they think it will, right? Due to how the media landscape operates now. There's way too many independent voices out there. There's way too much diversity of information out there for them to, dominate the space. But beyond that, I think resistance libs are gearing up their primary base, like the news watchers, okay, into submission. How likely do you think it's going to be to pass the Senate? I have no belief whatsoever that these GOP senators are going to do the right thing. Okay. If you feel like these goddamn vultures are ever going to do the right thing and be like, we're striking this down. Okay. I'm telling you right now, you're wrong. Everyone's saying, oh, but the confirmations, remember that recess appointments are a thing. If the Senate plus House is convinced to go on break for 10 plus days, Trump can appoint everyone in one day. He can slam through everyone instantly and they don't need a confirmation hearing. It's so bad. Yes. And who's going to stop them? The Supreme Court? What do you think? You think the Supreme Court is going to stop it? Yeah, if you're thinking that these monstrous pieces of shit are going to be your salvation, you're wrong, okay? And it feels like even the Democrats are not there to fight against this. And it feels like the media is not there to even talk about how devastating this is. Oh my God. Scoop, Schumer eyeing omnibus, possibly minibus government funding package for the end of the year. Senate Dems focused on wrapping fiscal year 2025 by December per sources. Will set up a clash between Schumer and Johnson. Is Schumer still slapping on that anti-Semitism bill onto this or no? I wonder what America's going to look like in 4 years. Canadian neighbor here. Dude, in the last week, I have heard so many unhinged things. Okay, in the last week, I've heard so many unhinged things from the Republican side. Okay. Like gearing up to possibly bomb Mexico, fighting the cartels, you know, like just incredible escalations. The entire cabinet is chock full of the most rabid war hawks, which was, of course, expected, as I told you over and over and over again. They are going to pick apart what remains of the carcass of the American government and turn it into the anarcho-capitalist dystopia that they always wanted it to be. Fascism is upon us. House Democratic Leader Jeffries, what does he have to say about this? This is Nancy Pelosi's handpicked replacement, right?
There's enough evidence at the House level or at the Senate level to suggest that this was an anti-incumbent thing when 90% of our 31 battleground incumbents outran the national environment and are on their way back to the United States House of Representatives. That's not an anti-incumbent wave because the overwhelming majority of them would have been swept away.
Yeah, he's saying that it's just in the hands of Biden, which I think is correct. Biden could also reappoint Lena Khan, and Schumer could confirm her in the lame duck, which would preserve a Dem majority on the FTC for a couple years. For your information, the Dems haven't yet confirmed Biden's last NLRB nomination, even though this would maintain a Democratic board through late 2026. It would at least give the Republicans something to fight against, but I don't even know if they're going to do this. Here's the devil's advocate Cope from those who believe in the Senate. This is Cope. Thune won the majority election over 2 MAGA candidates. MAGA idiots are mad. Thune already said the filibuster will stay no matter what, and he will have confirmation hearings, aka he won't go on recess. I doubt he has the balls to stand up to the bully pulpit. Yes, I don't think he will. I don't think anyone will. The institution defenders within the Republican establishment are not exactly happy about the instability, the volatility that Trump presents. But judging by their track record, and because we have the last Trump administration to point to, every single one of those guys was brought to heel, okay? Because Donald Trump, in many respects, is the logical conclusion of years and years of reactionary propaganda, okay? He is not all that different. Like, his ideological goals are directly aligned with those who are at the tippy top of society, those elites, those major corporate shareholders. He is going to give them deregulation. He is going to offer them as many tax cuts as possible. So ultimately, they'll play ball. As long as they get their tax cuts, they'll always play ball. And that's precisely what happened. And someone found this on my subreddit. Okay. Someone found this on my subreddit. And I want to show this to you. This is a, where is it? This was my analysis of what is yet to come right before the 2020 election. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Where the is it? I don't know if I can find it. There was like a 12-minute video from my final thoughts, like in the eve of the 2020 election. There was another instance where I was actually debating Destiny on how Trump is a successful Republican. This is one clip from that.
How do you justify so saying with Destiny, who obviously uses pettiness to determine?
What the is this? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Hold on. Oh, here, Hasan on the rise of fascism back in 2020. Okay, there's two clips I want to show you. Okay, one is something that I've been talking about since January 23rd, 2019 here. Okay, where back in the day when I thought that Destiny was a reformed person who wasn't like insane. Okay, a lot of people will be like, "Why are you so afraid of debating him?" Here's a video of me doing just that.
And large care about more than immigration. You can just outsource your labor regardless for big stuff like tax breaks, tax cuts for the corporations. These are things that they by and large care about more than immigration. You can just outsource your labor regardless for and that's what these companies have been doing for a very long time anyway. But again, things that like undermining the EPA, undermining the education, undermining housing, like these aren't things that like people are looking for. Not focusing on infrastructure. Like these aren't things that his base wants. He's doing this for a big business. He's doing this for corporate interests.
Maybe.
How can you say maybe? Who is the?
I don't know what like defunding education or whatever has to do with corporate interests.
I don't know why it's sped up. I don't know why. I don't think we're going to be able to actually pay attention to a clip like this because you guys are being too childish, I think. Like, Reddit player does not have speed controls. Chat represents the streamer. No, there's no way to make it slower. There's no right clicking, dude. What are you talking about? There's nothing.
Because if you defund education, all of a sudden you can make a justification not only for tax cuts, for further tax cuts, because every time it's called starving the beast. Every time you further undermine federal agency. Okay, so every time
this was his goal.
This is from a video. This is from a YouTube video of like my debate in 2019 with Destiny, back when we were cordial. And my argument was that Donald Trump is a normal Republican and a very successful Republican, okay? And that he is, doing the top line agenda of the Republican Party at the time. I just don't know where
to be a little bit shittier to customers because you know that you're not going to have as much.
I don't know exactly where it was though in this conversation.
The absolute bare minimum by like 1 or 2 votes in order for them to actually
the Republican voter base. Hold on.
Oh,
the
here.
Republican figure that has been at ends with Trump multiple times. McConnell has been at ends with Trump multiple times. Like all of these like Republican leaders. Pence himself has gotten burned by Trump multiple times. Trump has had massive amounts of influx in his cabinet. And everybody that's left has had shitty things to fucking say about him. Even well-respected people like Tillerson. How can you look at all the divisiveness that Trump has stirred up in the Republican Party and then say that no, he's actually like really good at unifying the Republicans?
I'm not saying he's good at unifying the Republican politicians, but ultimately he's good at unifying the Republican voter base. Hold on. He's good at unifying the Republican base of voters, and you're focusing on like one symbolistic John McCain vote to say that like the entire Republican Party is not backing Donald Trump, even though, oh my God, I want to murder every single person who's saying Hassan is out of his death. I want to murder them so hard right now in a video game. Okay.
Ban him, dude.
All right. I can't. There's too many. All right. So I don't have enough money.
Not gonna lie, you sound so weird. Yeah, it's because I'm using a Blue Yeti. All right. Notice how like even in this conversation, Destiny's fans immediately rush to be like, "Oh, you're out of your depth," and I was 100% correct on this in this argument that I presented.
Moderators. All right. As far as the Republican Party goes, you say that the Republican Party is divided, yet they vote for 90% of the things that Donald Trump wants. So obviously they're not that divided. Obviously they're still serving the same interests.
That's such a one-dimensional way of looking at it. Of course, Republicans
what are they divided on? That like they don't like Donald Trump's perspective? Like they don't like the way that he talks? Sure, but that doesn't mean that the party is actually divided. The party is very happy because the donors are very happy.
If
the
all
party's
of them are
also
so
happy
then
because
why
they're
is it that
electing.
so many districts that went so heavy for Trump ended up swaying Democrat when it came time to vote for the midterms? Like there are tons of people in the Republican Party that have these massive issues with Trump and his numbers, and the candidates that he's backed for some of these elections did not turn out the numbers that they expected him to. It was a monumental failure for the House and even to some extent for some of the Senate races.
Yeah, because Donald Trump is very divisive in the sense that a lot of people who normally wouldn't have voted are now going out to vote against Donald Trump. This is not to say that like Republicans are like, oh my God, I feel terrible about voting for Donald Trump, so I'm going to turn around and actually vote for a Democrat. No, there's just more people voting Democrat that didn't vote or that don't historically vote in midterms. That's what this is. It has absolutely nothing to do with like Trump's policies or whatever. They just hate Donald Trump. There are a lot of Americans who find Donald Trump to be an incredibly divisive figure who's terrible, and they're right. They are absolutely right about Donald Trump being a divisive and terrible figure for American politics, and that's why they're going out and voting. That's why there was like unprecedented turnout.
All right.
And Republicans are not showing up because they're happy.
I feel like we're using like this feels like Bernie math right now. Like if Donald Trump goes out and the reason why less people went out to vote for Donald Trump was actually because Donald Trump was so good that people were so happy with him that they didn't go out and vote. I feel like we're in Bernie math.
Yeah, that's historically what happens with the party in the party that holds majority power. Yes, for the base. That works well for the voters. But the big stuff like tax breaks, tax cuts for the corporations. These are things that they, by and large, care about more than the immigration. You can just outsource your labor regardless for the, and that's what these companies have been doing for a very long time anyway. But again, things that like undermining the EPA, undermining the education, undermining housing. Like these aren't things that like people are looking for. Not focusing on infrastructure. Like these aren't things that his base wants. He's doing this for big business. He's doing this for corporate interests.
Maybe.
How can you say maybe? Who is the?
I don't know what like defunding education or whatever has to do with corporate interests. I can get with you on like the EPA and
because
stuff,
because if you defund education, all of a sudden you can make a justification not only for tax cuts, for further tax cuts, because every time it's called starving the beast. Every time you further undermine a federal agency.
I know. You don't have to. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
But like,
so every time
even if this was his goal, his way to do this wouldn't be nominating Betsy DeVos. It would be to do something more insidious. Like these aren't things. That he's doing,
no. Betsy DeVos is the perfect person. She has a track record of privatization in Michigan. She's like always been an advocate for private education. That's exactly why he put Betsy DeVos in a position of power, even though she's an idiot.
Okay. It just seemed like when I look at his appointments, like Betsy or like Ben Carson or whatever, it seems it's more just like random shit that he sees on Fox News.
No, dude, these aren't random dipshits that he's putting in positions of power, especially Betsy DeVos.
What about, didn't he literally do this with like a Secretary of Defense or some shit? Who was the guy that he saw on Fox News that he made like one of his like chief attorneys or some shit? Like, or why the is Giuliani working with him? Is it because Giuliani's actually like a really talented lawyer? Like he gets advice from this guy for like executive orders.
I know, but that has nothing to do. I know, but Giuliani, Trump is a moron. I'm not sitting here and saying that.
Wait, stop! You keep playing both worlds. You can't tell me that Trump is a moron.
Isn't that what Trump's doing right now? To a certain degree, yes. He has gotten way worse at this than the last time around. But you will see exactly what I mean here, okay? You will understand in a second when I describe it.
But then also say Trump is actually intentionally choosing the best people to undermine these institutions. You keep
do you really think that Donald Trump is doing all of these on his own? Like I don't understand. Why can't Trump be an absolute moron but still be a strong man, charismatic leader that appeals to Republicans?
Wait, so who is controlling Trump now? Now that
it's not a control thing. Like there are still handlers, aides, of advisors that are around Donald Trump that are giving him the cabinet appointments. Like he can't just he's not like turning around and saying. A lot of these used to come from Bannon, and then Bannon is gone now. So I don't know who's like the chief handler.
It was not Bannon.
Not just one person. It's not just like Steve Bannon isn't the only person capable of telling Donald Trump who to appoint for these positions.
Well, no, now he listens to Fox and Friends. And
no, it's not. Do you really think that Donald Trump exclusively sits in front of the television and like makes these decisions and now there aren't aides?
This was one of the huge...
This is such like liberal brain right here. It is like Donald Trump does not have anyone in his corner that's telling him like, these are the guys that you need to appoint. He's just sitting there and exclusively getting his nose from Fox and Friends. I'm not saying he's not getting it from Fox and Friends, but if you think that like he wasn't firmly doing exactly what the Heritage Foundation and the American Enterprise Institute was telling him to do, you're out of your dang mind. Okay?
That there are places. I'm sure that there are things that he does, like when he tweets
about passing a new budget. One of the biggest problems was that Pence walked to Congress and then came back to President Trump with a deal in hand that Trump already approved. But because he'd been listening to pundits on Fox News, he shot it down and sent Pence back to Congress, telling them that they needed a new deal after Democrats and Republicans had already made concessions to each other to agree on legislation. Yeah, Trump.
These two things are not mutually exclusive. He does both. He does it when he sees something, it gets riled up and he tweets it out. But he absolutely, when he's making like when these bigger decisions are happening, like as far as cabinet appointees and shit, there are absolutely other aides that give him the people that he's putting in positions of power. Do you really think that okay, let me ask you this much. As far as Supreme Court justices, how do you think Donald Trump chose? Do you think it was on Fox and Friends?
I am not sure. I don't know for the first couple.
He went to the Federalist Society, dude. Of course. Do you like this is how it works. You go to the Federalist Society.
Literally every single leak that has ever come from the White House, whether we're talking about the multiple books that have been written by that one guy. I should remember the name. It's like
that guy's an idiot, dude. He's a known liar. He was embellishing half the shit. I know what you're talking about. What the his name?
Wait, you think that whole book was just fake shit?
No, not the whole book, but like there's plenty of fucking
you think
things.
Woodward? You think everything in there was
not Woodward. No, not Woodward. Okay, we were talking about two different things then. I'm talking about what is Fire and Fury. Who wrote that?
Oh
shit?
yeah, that one might have been highly whatever the Woodward book was.
Oh my God! Even back then, I was having an issue with Bob Woodward versus Michael Wolff. Even back then, I was confusing Bob Woodward with Michael Wolff. That's so funny.
Yeah,
And then
Michael
all of the
Wolff
other
is
leaks that have come
Michael
out-
Wolff is ridiculous. Bob Woodward is
Sure.
not. Bob Woodward, a lot of
Sure.
the things that he said. No, Bob Woodward is reputable. And I'm not saying that the Trump. I'm not saying that like the Trump administration isn't in chaos. But when it comes to like very important things, when it comes to cabinet appointees, or when it comes to things like Supreme Court justices, Trump is not that big of a moron. He still understands that he needs to adhere to specific guidelines put in front of him, and that's exactly what
I
he's
don't know.
doing.
The Kavanaugh stuff was pretty iffy. I feel like they could have went with a much safer pick on that.
I mean,
after
you
his history and
personally
everything.
think that, but at that point they had to double down. You think they didn't consider this? Like they shouldn't have went with
I don't
Kavanaugh.
know. Do you think they considered things heavily when they went with Roy Moore and they lost that seat in that special election or whatever in Alabama? I mean, no, it doesn't seem like they considered a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I think that was a Steve Bannon. That was a strategic mistake by Steve Bannon, and he got punished for it afterwards too.
Anyway, the point, what led to this, watching this VOD? Well, it's a twofer. One, for a lot of people who say like, Hasan, you never debated Destiny, there are plenty of debates that you can go back and listen to where I'm like trying to educate him on this stuff. You will also see my consistency on the matter, and you will see how wrong he was and how libbed up he was. Okay. Yeah, this has literally 70,000 views from 2019, you know? But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, the reason why I pointed to this is because I wanted you to see that how Donald Trump still maintains support from the institutional Republican Party. Okay? This isn't even the best debate of yours. Probably not, but it doesn't even matter. Anyway, my point is, Donald Trump still satisfies the needs of the corporate oligarchs. And this is the reason why this aged well after his election. Holy shit. I mean, everything I've said has aged well. If you go back far enough in time, you will hear me say the same exact things over and over again for the past decade at this point. Okay? Anyway, yeah, I am not wrong, simply too early. History always ends up vindicating me, even though that's not necessarily a good thing, because all the bad things that I predicted end up happening, and that sucks. Anyway, but the point was, at the time, people were making it seem like this was a unique thing, that Donald Trump was a unique and very different type of Republican. And I maintained the position that he was not a unique Republican, but he was very much the logical continuation of Republican mania. Okay? If you were to put, okay, since you refuse to platform any Ukrainians, you should Aaron B yourself, fire, fire, fire. You're worthless, tanky fans too. Ukraine over Palestine? What? I should self-immolate? Are you okay? You got the weirdest haters. It's funny because he's a labor voting Chad. Anyway, moving on. Probably a British labor supporter. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, but this analysis was prescient for the time, and it's gotten only worse. But the other thing I wanted to show you was the growth of fascism in this country. This is from Trump's Make America Great Again rally. This is last rally, I believe, before the 2020 election.
Why I closely track Trump's rhetoric and his followers is because I understand the long-term consequences of this kind of messaging being successful, especially within the Republican Party. It's not just about watching like a dude who these hogs find to be charismatic. It's more so about where the Republican Party is going.
I was very tired at this point. Okay, that's why I sound like that.
QAnon stuff, the open agitations towards fascism, white supremacy, all this.
Why are you self-glazing so hard? You think this is self-glazing? No, dude. The analysis remains the same.
Stuff is going to have consequences on every other race that comes after this. No matter what happens tomorrow, America is okay? It's completely like, it's remarkable that he's able to play compilations of Joe Biden slurring and shit like he was doing earlier today, by the way. That's what he's doing. That's what, I'm not going to put the sound on. We already watched it and laughed at it yesterday. Like, you look at Sarah Palin. You look at the Tea Party movement, AstroTurf by the Koch brothers. And now you look at Donald Trump's rise to success within the Republican Party.
This isn't self-glazing. I'm saying how right I was and still am. No, dumbass, you're failing to comprehend something. Listen to what I'm saying there, okay? Listen to what I'm saying. Just act like I'm just repeating it right now if you want to. There is no way for me to be like, back in 2020, this is what I said, and then repeat the same things as I am repeating it right now, okay? It's important to remember from a different snapshot in time, right before the 2020 election, on the eve of the 2020 election, what the fears I had looked like to see how we got to the position that we got to. This isn't self-glaze. It's no different than looking at news coverage from back in 2020 of anybody else's opinions.
If this does not worry you with all the white nationalist, white supremacist militias gaining ground, with all of these hogs, no matter how much Donald Trump hurts them, still passionately agitating for him and advocating for him. This is irreparable harm. This is damage that's not going away. Doesn't matter if Biden can captivate some suburban moms who are sick and tired of how rude Donald Trump is on television. Doesn't matter how many wine moms choose to vote for Biden over Donald Trump. None of it matters. What matters is how much the radical elements within the right are being hugged and carried and emboldened and legitimized by the Republican Party machine. QAnon is not an accident. The 3%ers are not an accident. The Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys. These people didn't start doing what they've been doing for the past 4 years overnight. This shit is terrifying, dude. And it's not only terrifying because Republicans are totally on board with this kind of fascist agitation, but it's also terrifying because the Democrats only artificially stand in opposition to it. They don't like the rudeness of fascism. If it came in a more presentable format, I think it would be more palatable to a lot of Americans. And what I mean by that is, think about Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett was successfully, and I think correctly, portrayed as a villain in the media leading up to her hearings. Now, these hearings were largely theater. It was political theater. It was nonsense. They didn't even need to have those hearings at all. Didn't really matter. She saw a 16-point swing after those hearings in her approval ratings. Because for a lot of these older Americans and a lot of these like lifelong Democratic voters, aesthetics are all that matters. If you are a presentable Catholic woman with adopted children and a Pilates body, an accomplished woman, it doesn't matter if you're agitating for a theocratic autocracy. It doesn't matter if you are literally playing a fundamental role in the highest court, the most powerful. You're one of the most powerful 9 people in the country, if not the planet. They just care about her being nice and kind and presentable. That's terrifying. Democrats need to figure this shit out. They need to open the floodgates to the progressive momentum. They need to allow more AOCs into the party. They need to welcome radicals like even myself and others like me that speak to a younger generation and our frustrations and our anxieties. They need to start legislating appropriately. Or, I mean, what am I saying? It doesn't even matter. It's far too late, in my opinion. Even if they did. No, I'm not saying I'm going to run for office. I'm never going to do that. I mean, like, be more welcoming instead of hostile to anti-capitalist ideas. They're never going to do it because I'm afraid the tankies and the Marxist-Leninists and the theory nerds are right. It is still a bourgeois democracy, and they are a bourgeois party, and they are always going to put the interests of capital over the interests of the American working class. Definitely not the international working class ever. But at the very least, in this stage, they should be open-minded to social democratic reform, dude. It's really bad. Like, we shouldn't go through another fascist resurgence globally or have another Great Depression until we wisen up and push through another comprehensive New Deal style social democratic reform package. Like, why does it always have to get to that? So much human suffering and misery. And only then do people say, all right, I guess, whatever, you'll get Medicare for all. Or I guess you'll get Social Security. Yeah, the thing is, like, I feel optimistic. Or not optimistic. I think Biden is going to win. I'm still fearful because 2016 has broken my brain, okay? I will never be, and I said this before, and I will say it again, I'm not going to be confident or comfortable until Donald Trump is out of office, okay? Until I'm watching Biden or whoever the at inauguration that's not Donald Trump gets sworn into office. I'm not happy. I'm not confident. Tomorrow we're going to look at, like, we'll do more poll focused coverage tomorrow, a little bit in the earlier side of things.
What a liar, dude. What a Weasley little liar, dude. What a Weasley little liar, dude. Holy shit, dude. Holy
Old outro.
Imagine the Green Party wins. Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, I'll just say this. Hold on before I end it. Look, the voter intimidation, voter suppression at the polls is nowhere near as scary to me as purging mail-in ballots. And the reason why is because there's 92 million votes that have cast already. Okay? So if you find a way to those votes up, if you find a way to purge those votes, that's an infinitely more significant number of votes that you can very easily and very quickly dispose of, rather than the limited amount of people that are going to go out and vote on election day. Or because a lot of the people that vote on election day, my speculation always has been, is going to be Republican. Democrats have voted already. And also, if you guys haven't voted yet, obviously go out and vote tomorrow. No matter what, nobody should threaten you from voting. Nobody should stop you from voting. Go out, cast out same day vote. You know what I'm saying? I feel like most of you guys who voted already voted. I haven't even really done a get out the vote on the day of because we've been talking about voting for so long. Look, definitely go out and vote. Like, it doesn't matter. Voting for Biden or voting for whoever the you want to vote or the presidential is nowhere near as immediately consequential to you as voting down ballot. This is what I always have said. And this is what I'll continue saying. But while you're there, if you're a leftist, if you're a progressive, it's not that hard to vote for Joe Biden. It sucks.
You seem drunk as... Yeah, this was like 16 hours of coverage every single time, every single day. This is one day before the 2020 election.
Your vote might change something. It might not. It doesn't really matter. But definitely go out and vote. 100%. At least tomorrow, we'll be a little bit closer to figuring out what's going to happen in the next 4 years, you know?
Anyway, this period was my time of radicalization. Yeah, I'm a much healthier person now, both mentally and also physically. Anyway, saying the same thing for 4+ years, 4+, more like 10+. That's why I always laugh when people are like, dog, you've changed. It's like, I certainly have not. I showed you something from 2019. I showed you another thing from 2020. My takes have been consistent. It's almost been a decade at this point because the truth doesn't change, because the problems don't change, you know, and the solutions to those existing problems does not change either. It's unfortunate, but you know, I'll keep repeating it. I'll keep repeating it no matter what. Anyway, you've refined your language to be more precise and reach a broader audience, but the message remains the same. Yes. It's gotten, you have been saying, I've done this for the 10+ years for 4 years now. Yeah. It is what it is. Anyway, all right, let's move away from this shit and let's get back to the man-made horrors beyond comprehension. Jim Squito says, why can't they believe it? Trump has been telegraphing moves such as this for 4 years. They have no reasonable basis to be surprised. It's disingenuous. Senator Manchin says senators are now talking about Gabbard and Gaetz picks on the Senate floor right now. No one can believe it. Yeah, I think it's fake. When people say that they can't believe it, they're stating that because that's the appropriate thing to say. But if you feel comfortable that these guys will do the right thing, you're wrong. You'd be wrong. Just letting you know. Okay? I want you to understand you would be very, very wrong. All right? These guys are going to they're hope it's wrong, but I'm hearing through the grapevine about this bonkers plan. Trump would adjourn both houses of Congress under Article 2, Section 3, and then recess appoint his cabinet. As predicate for Trump's exercise of adjournment power, one house of Congress would seek others' consent to adjourn and be denied. So Speaker of the House would need to be complicit in evisceration of Senate's advice and consent role. House Speaker Mike Johnson needs to say no to this right away. If he can't do that, then he has the bully pulpit, right? If he can't do that, then he can utilize the bully pulpit to his advantage. That's the other thing. He'll bully the Republicans into submission. That's what he's going to do. Bully pulpit is just a term for the president speaking. That's it. That's what it is. Matt Gaetz for attorney general is pretty gross. Yeah, but it don't matter. A senator told me, rumor on the hills, that Elon Musk is threatening to fund a primary challenge to any House Republican who doesn't fall in line with Trump's agenda. There it is. I mean, I don't know how valid this is, but it's completely in line with his past performance. So it's not even remotely shocking to me that he would do such a thing. And anyone who would be surprised by such a thing is silly. Okay? How do we get Dems to stop licking their wounds and actually stand the fuck up and be the resistance? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if it can happen. I think they're just going to show their belly like the cowardly babies that they are, you know? I think the Democratic Party is more predisposed with winning on their own terms. And if they lose, it's fine. Now chatters want rad libs. That tracks. That's why I said I think the primary goal going forward is not to rely on the Democratic Party to actively combat this administration's enormous power grabs, but instead to try and focus on outside of the party organizations, like legal organizations that try to utilize the remaining court structure, and that's it. I mean, look.
And that's a credit to our incredible incumbent frontline House members who connected with the people that they represent, have a vision for the future, focused on the kitchen table pocketbook issues that matter, and have been reelected. I think it's also fair to say that when you look at the battleground situation that occurred at the Senate level, and far be it from me to speak for my colleagues in the United States Senate, but it is clear that you had multiple battleground states where Democratic incumbents, or in the case of Alyssa Slotkin and Ruben Gallego, 2 House members, we're very proud of them, were elected to the United States Senate on a very tough night. So I think we have to make sure that we are clear-eyed and authentic and unadulterated in how we assess what happened, so that we can engineer a comeback on behalf of the American people and protect the things that matter, our American values, protect our institutions, protect our freedoms, and protect, the way of life in terms of the middle class and all those who aspire to be part of it. But we also, I think, can't be hysterical in our assessment that this was some anti-incumbent wave that knocked down Democrats all across the country, when the facts actually say something very different.
What do you think about progressive trying to push Ben Winkler as the new chair of the DNC? I like that. I like Ben Winkler. Oh, here.
Together makes the situation
Look at this
more
fucking
complicated.
freak on the Sean Ryan show. I've been meaning to watch this. This is the Defense Department. Okay, this is the guy that is going to be helming the fucking most
In a
powerful
2016
military.
interview, Hegseth also attacked Muslim immigrants who don't assimilate, in language echoing the anti-immigrant rhetoric of the far right. On Secure Freedom Radio, he said, "We have to be willing to confront those who won't assimilate to the ideas of our country and show allegiance to them, lest we find ourselves in a place where there's a silent invasion of groups of people who have a very different view of the future that looks nothing like America, nothing."
Mr. Templar himself.
In 2019, Hegseth publicly pushed for service members accused of war crimes to be pardoned and praised President Trump when they were. Hegseth's defense of Trump includes denying the 2020 election results and broadcasting those claims on the Mall on January 6th before the riot. Despite all of the questions about whether he has the qualifications to get confirmed, he has what is likely the single most important qualification under President-elect Donald Trump, and that is loyalty to what would be his commander-in-chief. Jake.
All right, Oren Lieberman at the Pentagon, thanks so much. Joining us now live in studio, Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma. Thank you so much for being here, sir. So you serve on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Some of your colleagues were caught by surprise by the announcement of I think he's Major Hegseth. I mean, he was a retired major in the Army. Obviously a decorated veteran. But running the Pentagon, that's 2 or 3 million people. What do you think?
Well, think about it. What is the Defense Secretary's position? The Secretary of Defense is supposed to be a civilian position, right?
Yes.
He fits that bill. He also has 2 Bronze Stars and served 20 years in the military. He also has a military experience. The whole point of the Secretary of Defense is to bring a different perspective to the Pentagon. Remember, in the Army or any of those branches,
Mr. Self-Made took his daddy's job, Markwayne Mullin.
The command structure. So there's no way a 1-star is going to question a 4-star, and there's no way a colonel is ever going to be questioning a 1-star, nor will a sergeant major question a major. So the civilian role is a pivotal point to bring in that common sense sometimes outside of the chain of command and say, hey, what are we looking at? And I think he fits that.
Well, he's certainly a civilian, and certainly obviously
with military experience.
And obviously he served honorably. What do you make of the criticisms that he doesn't have the experience in terms of running a 2 or 3 million person operation, and also, he's pretty. He has strong views that might alienate some of the people under him in terms of like 1/3 of the generals or 1/3 of the senior office holders are I forget the exact words he used, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's criticizing them. Women shouldn't be in combat, et cetera, et cether.
Well, when you start looking at what condition our branches of the military is in right now, they're in dismal position. We have low numbers in the Air Force, we have low numbers in the Marines, we have low numbers in the Navy, we have low numbers in the Space Force, we have low numbers in the Army. And so something's going on wrong. It can't be going great. And when in any type of big organization, when the top is responsible for what's happening below them, and if the top's not getting it right, then yeah, it's time for them to go. And I think that's a perspective that we need to bring in. So I'm not concerned about his ability not to ever run a large corporation. That isn't the requirement. That is never the requirement. The requirement is that President Trump gets to nominate the individual and the Senate gets to confirm them. And I trust President Trump's decision in this one. I feel like he's a good pick that'll bring a perspective to the Army or to the military or to the Pentagon without being necessarily politically correct. Politically correctness is what's killed this country right now. People just want to tell me the way it is. Tell me what the facts are, and let's move forward. And you're not going to agree with every decision he makes. You're not going to agree with every decision you or I make. But I do feel like he's going to come out from perspective. And keep in mind, he did serve this country. He does have a love for this country. He has respect for the service too of the men and women that's in uniform. He just brings a unique perspective that may be different than you and I. But I'm actually excited about the pick.
I want to note that you were publicly supporting Senator John Thune of South Dakota to be the Republican leader, and he won that election. What do you think that means, and how concerned are you about? I mean, there's a lot of questions right now about, is the U.S. Senate under Republican control going to stand up for the advice and consent role of the U.S. Senate? Or is it kind of just bend and go along with whatever the president wants? Tell us about that debate.
We're going to work very closely with the president. President Trump won a resounding election November 5th, and the American people won a different direction. That's why he won the popular vote by almost 5 million, and last time I checked, 312 electoral votes. That hasn't happened in quite some time. And the idea that we're not going to work with the president never crossed my mind. So the Senate and the House has got to work closely with the president. The American people gave us that mandate. At the same time, we feel very confident on the direction that Thune and President Trump is going to lead us. President Trump and John Thune has worked really hard at building their relationship. There were some questions about that relationship, like he's Mitch McConnell 2.0. I can tell you there's a different type of leadership through John Thune. I consider him a friend. I consider President Trump a friend. And I'm excited about them working together and leading the American America in the right direction. I think that the American people are going to see a unified government working for the people again.
CeeLo.
And I'm very excited to be part of it.
Is the Senate going to confirm Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General, or do you think there's going to be just recess appointments?
The recess is a little more difficult than that. Keep in mind, the way the recess works, President Obama tried to do this in 2014, and the court struck it down. So to just go through the process, first of all, both chambers have to recess for 10 days. The minority party, which in this case, the Democrats, does have a lot of leverage to pull to keep us open at the same time. During that recess appointments, during that 10 days, they're temporary appointments. They only last until the next Congress begins, or a maximum 2 years. So it's not ideal. The ideal way is for us to move forward. But if that's the last resort, we will absolutely do it. If Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate want to keep us from making any of these appointments, we are going to do our best to do whatever we have to do to get the cabinet in a position and get the appointments in a position so President Trump can go to work on day one. So we will do whatever it takes, but that's the last resort.
Last resort. Are you going to vote for Matt Gaetz?
You know, Matt Gaetz and I, there's no question that we've had our differences. They've been very public about it. I completely trust President Trump's decision-making on this one. But at the same time, he's got to come to Congress and sell himself. There's a lot of, or to the Senate and sell himself. There's a lot of questions that are going to be out there. He's got to answer those questions. And hopefully he's able to answer the questions right. And if he can, then we'll go through the confirmation.
Meet Kane's making fun of me. The one friend who's too political. That's funny. So from raw to well done, how cooked are we? We are so cooked. Here's what Tulsi had to say, by the way. Or here's what a Jewish insider had to say about Tulsi Gabbard, a Jewish insider correspondent. Tulsi is a few marbles. Wait, no. Oh, yeah, it is. New Jewish insider via Mark Rod. Why conservatives concerned about Tulsi Gabbard as possible director of national intelligence? The former Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman's record on the House is drawing scrutiny. This is an official. This is a Jewish insider, senior congressional correspondent, got a quote from an official at a pro-Israel group, and they said Tulsi's a few marbles short of a full set, but we are hopeful the marbles she has are blue and white in support of Israel. You know, you called it. What is this? Yeah, we are staring down the barrel of a gun right here, okay? I called the gimme ceasefire. Yeah. A close aide to Netanyahu told Trump and Jared Kushner this week that Israel is rushing to advance a ceasefire deal in Lebanon with the aim of delivering an early foreign policy gift to Trump, said an Israeli official. Damn, dude. Who could have predicted that? Biden is such an idiot, dude. Oh, my God. I mean, he's just stupid. He doesn't care. I don't even think it's just a stupidity. I think it's malicious. I think he is a demon. I think he does not give a shit, and he loves this. I'm only reading this as something that Biden loves. He's excited at this. He's elated at this prospect. Okay. CJ Werleman, Trump has nominated Tulsi Gabbard as director of national intelligence. In 2019, I obtained secret tapes of her praising an obscure cult leader who said Muslims are demons and opposed tolerance towards Islam. Yeah, she's always been a massive Islamophobe. It's in Lebanon, which they already announced they're almost done with destroying the towns close to the border. It's an easy gimme. I know. And I'm saying that there's going to be an additional gimme potentially as well with Gaza, only to rearm, and then go back and finish the job in the West Bank. The replies to this are so insane. Uncommitted Michigan delegate on CNN pleads with President Biden to do something about Netanyahu before Trump and Mike Huckabee complete an ethnic cleansing campaign in the West Bank and South Lebanon.
Like ethnic cleansing. It sounds like ethnic cleansing. It's an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza and the West Bank and southern Lebanon. And Mike Huckabee was just named as the guy who's going to oversee the final stages of that campaign. And so our message right now is to President Biden, you've got to do something about this. President Biden, stand up for once to Netanyahu before Donald Trump successfully gets away with pinning this legacy of this ethnic cleansing campaign on you and you alone forevermore. It looks like ethnic cleansing. It sounds like ethnic cleansing. It's an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza and the West Bank and southern Lebanon. And Mike Huckabee was just named as the guy who's going to oversee the final stages of that campaign. And so our message right now is to President Biden, you've got to do something about this. President Biden, stand up for once to Netanyahu before Donald Trump successfully gets away with pinning this legacy of this ethnic cleansing campaign on you and you alone forevermore.
Anyway, he knows how to talk to Biden by mentioning his legacy. It doesn't matter. Oh, I don't think Biden cares. I think, check the replies. They're insane. I don't want to see liberals being like, you called him Genocide Joe and did everything you could stop stop Holocaust Harris. To all uncommitted, undecided folks, words and actions contributed to a Harris loss. There will be a lot of woulda, shoulda, coulda. See? Maybe they should have committed. I'm very sympathetic to his pain and horror that is transpiring in Gaza. 2, I hope his plea is considered. 3, maybe he should ask Jill Stein to stand up on his behalf. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, things are not looking too great, folks. But hey, guess what? These guys are civil, you know? They're civil. And that's what's important. The civil transfer of power is happening. Okay? According to an Oppo report obtained by Eve the Red, Matt Gaetz was involved in an autoerotic asphyxiation game that led to a man's death with Gaetz and his dad covered up. Can't corroborate the details of his death, but I did find a man who matches the alleged victim. Oh, I don't know about all this. I mean, I'll look into it before I start covering shit like that. Okay? Why the Japanese goblin emoji? I just like it, and it's red. I think it looks cool. That's pretty much the only reason why I use it in my titles. Anyway.
Ever admitting or conceding to Joe Biden for the 2020 election.
Which also
and
had
never inviting Biden to the White House.
Which
never
also had an
and not
effect
going to his
on
inauguration.
President Biden's approval rating, and it got his presidency off to an entirely different start.
There's no age that you can't be sexy. I say we change Florida's welcome signs to this. Free Nestor? Bitch, Nestor is never getting freed. Okay? Nestor is never getting freed. There's going to be 1 million Nestors, dude. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, dude? Yeah. A sign of how easily some Senate Republicans might cave on Gaetz. Mullen has previously accused Gaetz of sleeping with an underage girl, showing off videos of girls he slept with on the floor, and bragging about taking ED meds to go all night. Yeah, Mark Wayne Mullen said, you got to think about this guy. This guy that didn't have that the media didn't give the time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there was a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls he had slept with. He bragged about how he'd crush ED medicine and chase it with energy drinks so he could go all night. This is obviously before he got married. And so when that accusation came out, no one defended him. And then no one in the media would give him the time of day. All of a sudden, he found fame because he opposed the Speaker of the House back in November. And he's always stayed there. And he was never going to leave until he got his last moment of fame by going after a motion to vacate. That was Mark Wayne Mullen shitting on Matt Gaetz not that long ago. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen now, as we watched in real time. When asked by Jake Tapper, are you going to vote for Matt Gaetz? Mark Wayne Mullen, I completely trust President Trump's decision-making on this one. Now, Jake Tapper is a journalist, or is supposed to be a journalist. And what's really interesting about this situation is that if I remember Mark Wayne Mullen saying stuff like that, why the does Jake Tapper not remember that? He has a shit ton of producers, does he not? Why can't you hit Mark Wayne Mullen with that quote and be like, hey, remember when you said this about the guy who you're saying you're going to confirm? Like, why? Why can't you do your job? This is like bare minimum shit. This is bare minimum shit. This is not like, I'm not asking people to go above and beyond. I'm simply asking these guys that are currently facing down a crisis in journalism to do journalism, to restore some semblance of faith that the American population will place upon you, because it is needed. Okay? It is needed. That's what's so frustrating about this, is that, like, while I am unimaginably critical of mainstream media, I also still recognize the necessity of mainstream media. Okay? But it seems like a lot of these people in positions of power do not give a shit. They don't care. They have their heads stuck in the goddamn sand.
So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl, 17-year-old woman who
This interview was really funny because he was like, well, Tucker, I hung out with you and her. And he was like, whoa, 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 don't involve me in this. Oh, Jesus Christ. 2 GOP senators, a House Republican tells me, Farnoosh Amiri, me and Farnoosh Amiri of Associated Press, that 2 Republican senators have already texted him that they will not vote to confirm Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Name them. Names, or you made it up. Yeah, they're going to come after these people. This could be a false flag. Let Gaetz fail so you can pick someone else who wouldn't usually get confirmed, but Republicans are less likely to say no twice to Trump. I think that is too smart. I think personally, this is my 2021 video on Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz the Creep 3 years ago from 2021 with almost 1 million views. Go watch that to understand all of the severity of the allegations, the accusations launched towards this man. Okay? Now, another thing that I need you guys to understand, going back to what I was talking about, okay? I think that the Matt Gaetz pick is like being a false flag. Matt Gaetz pick being a false flag for a still unacceptable pick that Republicans can't say no to twice is too smart for the Trump campaign. I think that they just are not thinking like that. I think they're just trying to boulder their way. I think that Matt Gaetz, given Matt Gaetz' background, given Matt Gaetz's, given Matt Gaetz's background, okay, and given his loyalty to Donald Trump, because he's been in rooms with Donald Trump every single time, I just don't think that, I don't think that they're thinking beyond that. They're like, nah, he's loyal and he's also controllable. I think they want him. Certified UNCTAG on the Gaetz nomination. Appointing Matt Gaetz as Attorney General seems to be a message that we're not interested in stopping crimes. We're interested in committing more. I think he's a sacrificial lamb for the Senate to not confirm, but if he's confirmed, that means there are no bounds left at all. Matt Gaetz at defense would have made more sense because I believe him a little bit that he's anti-war, but there's almost no chance that Gaetz won't target his political enemies as Attorney General. The chance of him honestly and impartially enforcing the laws hovers around 0%. Yeah, wow. These Republicans, man, these Trump Republicans, These Trump Republicans have no respect for law and order, I feel like. Rep. Mike Simpson, a senior GOP appropriator, asked if Gaetz has the experience and character to be Attorney General. Are you shitting me that you just asked me that question? No. But hell, you'll print that, and now I'm going to be investigated. Matt Gaetz' wife is a part of the family who made Oculus, which is acquired by Facebook, which Peter Thiel still remains on the board of. Do you think that means anything? The false flag seems to be too big brain. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a false flag. I think this is infinitely more. That guy also does defense contracts now, right? The Oculus guy. Doesn't he also have defense contracts now? Palmer Luckey. Yeah, these guys are like a part of the Silicon Valley orbit of yeah, these guys are all the Silicon Valley libertarians that are totally in the tank for Donald Trump and have been so. So I think Matt Gaetz is doubly connected to the administration. If you watch all of those like behind the scenes documentaries about Donald Trump, I mean, Matt Gaetz was in every room all the time. Okay, he was helping with his like debate performance, yada yada yada. Palmer Luckey and others see defense tech leaders. Palmer Luckey and other defense tech leaders see Trump's victory as a win for the industry. This man is Matt Gaetz' brother-in-law now. Okay, to be fair, Chatter is kind of doing some conspiracy shit. Wife is part of Oculus, bought by Facebook, where Peter Thiel is on the board. Has nothing to do with Palmer Luckey. No, Palmer Luckey and all of these like Palantir, Peter Thiel, Andes are all defense contractors that have been very excited for a Trump victory. They've been in the tank for Donald Trump. So Matt Gaetz is also doubly connected on that regard as well, because there's a reason why they chose J.D. Vance, right? There's a reason why they chose J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was like to assure the Peter Thiel and the Silicon Valley VC guys that they will have a say in the upcoming administration. These guys are all some of the biggest libertarian nut jobs, by the way. Palmer Luckey is Matt Gaetz' brother-in-law. Listen to your interview on CBC. It was really well done. Cool to see you getting on mainstream news sources, even in Canada. Just wish they got your opinion on what's happening in Canada, like you'd vote for and all that. I'm sure Canadian fans are eager to hear stuff like that. I remember listening to an interview with not Palmer Luckey, but with a Google guy alongside, I think it was like Mark Milley or something, giving an interview to NPR about what they want to do with the Defense Department. And let me tell you, okay, they don't have good ideas. They're talking about reinventing the procurement strategies and talking about how America has fallen behind in terms of like innovative war tech. What the I'm dying a little bit. Innovative war tech and how they have to get faster at producing new technology in the field of battle and, you know, test it out like they are doing in Ukraine. Yeah, everybody hates this guy, but
when you see the anonymous sources and insiders forecasting my demise, know this. They aren't really coming for me. They're coming for you. I'm just in the way.
Oh my God! Everybody
that was
says
Matt
this.
Gaetz in 2021. We should note. So he was right that the reports of his demise were premature. To note, the Gaetz had sought a preemptive presidential pardon from Trump over a Justice Department investigation. That is according to a Trump aide who testified at the January 6th hearing. The Gaetz.
You should not forgive the Democratic Party for losing to this incompetent, sociopathic campaign. Okay? Like, the fact that they threw as though like this does not the fact that they threw caution to the wind as though these guys did not represent a dangerous path forward. And now they're just glad handling and shaking hands and slapping asses. And they're back to business as usual politics, like as though this shit is not objectively terrifying and dire for America's prospects. Like every time I see these assholes smiling next to one another, I'm like, what are you doing? I thought this shit sucked. I thought he was a fascist. I thought you ran against him in 2020 to restore the soul of the nation. And not because you selfishly wanted to be president after trying and attempting to be president since 1988, you know? But yeah, go ahead, chatters. liberal chatters that come in here to be like, Hasan, I can't believe you keep saying both sides are the same. I'm not saying both sides are the same, but the Democrats keep saying they clearly are not afraid of the other side as much as I am. Okay? Do you understand? When you present this narrative that Trump is a dangerous fascist and then turn around and you know, kiss his ass like this and don't do anything in the lame duck to, you know, beef up American democracy and the American institutions, well, I guess you don't believe he's a fascist at all. You were just kind of saying that. Or you do believe he's a fascist and you like it because you're a fascist too. Like, there's no secret third option here. Okay? Like, which is it then? Which is it? What is it? What's going on here? Yeah, here's Pete Hegseth.
Using his platform on Fox News, Hegseth lobbied repeatedly on behalf of the three men, even as platoon members serving under Lawrence and Gallagher described the killings as cold-blooded and unnecessary.
Oh, yeah, this asshole personally got these guys pardoned.
Quote, straight murder. Trump dropped charges against
his own platoon was like, bro, you are a freak. Okay? His own platoon outed this man for being a rabid sociopath.
Quote, national security officials and defense
and then
analysts
Pete Hegseth stepped in and personally got Trump to pardon them. And now Trump's like, yeah, we want that guy to be the responsible party for the entire Defense Department.
Puts the highest value on loyalty. That's Eric Edelman saying that.
Like, on the funnier side, he also has admitted that he does not wash his hands at all. He doesn't believe in germs.
Being used is, how well do people defend Donald Trump on television? One assessment was more blunt. Who the F is this guy? Said a defense industry lobbyist who was granted, who spoke anonymously, to be candid. Should he be confirmed, Hegseth's first order of business will likely be that purge of Pentagon top brass. Here's what he said on a podcast 6 days ago.
This guy's a Deus Vault tattoo,
man. You got to
man.
fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke it's got to go.
Gotta go. The future of the United States military on the line as Donald Trump nominates a Fox News weekend morning show host to be the Secretary of Defense is where we begin the hour. Retired four-star Army General and MSNBC military analyst Barry McCaffrey's here, plus retired U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, founder of the Democratic Majority Action PAC, Amy McGrath is here.
Oh, look,
the president
Amy
of
McGrath.
Media Matters for America.
Another brilliant winner right there. The Department of Government Efficiency is officially outside of the government itself, but Elon went ahead and gave it a gray badge to make it look like it was official. I mean, it doesn't matter. Of course, this is a plaything. All right. Let me get back to Lindsey Graham and other top senators on the Senate Judiciary Committee non-committal on Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Now, a lot of these talking points are just simply people playing block and push for the time being. When push comes to shove, they will, they know how their bread is buttered. Okay, they're going to go along with it. I'm letting you know they're going to go along with it. Do not be surprised by this.
Action to Matt Gaetz as AG.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I think about that one.
I mean, do you have any concerns about it?
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the tank. Lindsey Graham has never not kissed the ring. You know what I mean? Oh.
Others spoke a little bit more at length, Jake, including Senator John Cornyn, who's also a senior member.
Acceleration is eating good right now. That's the funniest part about this. It's the Democratic Party that are the accelerationists. It's not the activist base. You know what I mean? Like, the Democratic Party gave this election to Donald Trump. Do not forget, okay? They gave this election to Donald Trump, and now they are, I don't know, they're just acting like this is not a thing. This is not, like, devastating. I think these are the real accelerationists are at the tippy top of the Democratic Party. They do not care about a Trump future, okay? If they did, they probably would have run a better campaign. I can totally understand Democrats underperforming and losing is what they're good at, but considering how bad the Republican campaign was, I cannot grasp how it was so successful. Shouldn't they have also done worse with that bad of a campaign? I'm a Canadian and I watch your coverage of right-wing media, and I still can't mentally grasp what brings that many people to this conclusion. I mean, it's pretty simple. People are like, I need more money in my pocket, and Trump says he's going to do it. And the Democrats keep telling me that, like, things are fine, things are good, and that's it. That's it. You have no interest. You have no interest in preserving the sanctity of these wonderful institutions if you don't feel like these institutions are defending you. If you don't feel like these institutions are there to protect you, why the wouldn't you want to blow it up? You don't give a shit. You're like, yeah, dog, it. Who cares?
Of the Senate Judiciary Committee, someone who ran for majority leader, fell short in that bid, said we'll have to do our job as a Senate, do our advise and consent function. Very noncommittal when I asked him if he would support him. And I also asked Senator Tom Tillis, another senior member of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
My libertarian Bernie respecting Trump loving boss just messaged me about him and his wife moving out of the country over Matt Gaetz for Attorney General 7 days into transition. They'll be fine. If they love Trump, they'll be fine. They'll be like, nah, this is great.
And he said, Mr. Gaetz and I have jousted on certain issues between the House and the Senate. He said, at the end of the day, it only comes down to whether you have the credentials and also the relationships. And of course, what Tillis was referring to was Gaetz' central role in pushing for the ouster of Kevin McCarthy back last year. That led to a whole back and forth. It made him very unpopular.
The Senate will not confirm him, bro. Relax, law. Let me explain something to you, okay? I'm Turkish. And when I was growing up, there was a man named Recep Tayyip Erdogan, okay? And one of the things that Recep Tayyip Erdogan did was secure his immediate periphery with like a new rank of wealthy multimillionaires that would then dominate the Turkish economy. But he didn't stop there, okay? In Turkey, the military is considered much more significant and much more impressive and much more important than the way we here in the United States look at the military. After all, Turkey has had numerous coups, military coup d'etats that have overthrown administrations in the past. So knowing full well what was going on there, okay, Recep Tayyip Erdogan also has undermined the military. He did this after the last attempted coup that took place, not with the military, but by a CIA-backed Fethullah Gülen who died recently, okay, in his Poconos home. Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Donald Trump are very similar to one another, okay? Very, very similar to one another. All of the institutions that you believe will preserve American democracy or normal American existence will be eroded. Donald Trump, I've heard, has specifically thought about putting in charge of the Defense Department, and the appointments, like the general appointment structure, a former general, the Warriors Committee or something, like a different committee, so that he can have loyalists that end up making these appointments. Why didn't this happen in 2016 then, Hasan? Because Donald Trump in 2016 was definitely not as firmly within the establishment of the Republican Party. He did not have the same level of control. He was not as prepared. He just kind of lucked into this position. Brother, if you read reporting on this, as I did way back in the day, you will recognize that Donald Trump himself didn't think that he was going to win in 2016. Okay? It came as a shock to him as well. 4 years of leading the administration, and then another 4 of trying to avoid legal scrutiny and wanting to preserve his I guess legacy, but also more importantly just trying to not go to prison, avoid jail time. Donald Trump now is back with a vengeance, and this time he's not going to repeat the mistakes he made. He's not going to have cabinet members that are not incredibly loyal to him. Okay, he is going to make sure that he undermines every institution, including but not limited to the American military. This is what strongman leaders do. This is what Recep Tayyip Erdogan did, and this is precisely what Donald Trump is going to do as well. He does not want any threats. He does not want anyone who can maybe stop him. He's going to go in and he's going to put his loyal soldiers in every federal agency this time around. And he's not going to, like, first and foremost, the most important thing that Donald Trump needs here in the way that he's making these assessments is like people who are committed to him, people who have demonstrated loyalty to him. Okay? Above all else, that's what's the most important thing. He can't have a Mike Pence style situation again. All right? That would be unacceptable. Senator Bernie Sanders has announced a piece of legislation that he is moving forward next week with a resolution to block billions of dollars of aid to Israel. Starting tomorrow, AIPAC is running ads in 17 states urging senators to oppose the resolution, by the way. Do not know how much support it will pick up, but I will, of course, be in support of it unconditionally. This time, Donald Trump is more prepared. Okay? He had 4 years to imagine what it would look like to have this this vengeance agenda, to have this vengeance campaign.
Among the House Republican Conference and faced a barrage of criticism from Republicans in the Senate as well, who...
Or he says, we are flying out to D.C. tomorrow to try and lobby for senators to support this bill. Wish us luck, chat. Hell yeah.
Viewed the whole episode as showcasing how the House was dysfunctional and that how they could not govern and the like. And they pointedly blamed Gaetz for leading the charge against McCarthy. That, along with the questions about this ongoing House ethics investigation into alleged sexual misconduct. Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing. But I asked Cornyn about that too, Jake, and he said, I'm sure that will come up at the confirmation hearings. So that's one of the things that members want some answers to on that topic as well, Jay.
Interesting decision by the senator to invoke sword fighting as a metaphor there regarding Matt Gaetz.